The thing that tanks can't really defend against very easily is when you fire an anti-tank gun in this clearing over here, you'll see a burst of smoke, and you'll see kind of the shock wave coming and knocking the leaves back and forth, and you can figure out where that gun is. It's difficult because now 12 guys got to pick up that gun, they have to limber to a vehicle, and they have to haul it out of there. Whereas if you have handheld anti-tank weapons like what you have here, we could have a platoon equipped with 20 of these weapons, and every single one of those 20 weapons offers an opportunity to knock out an armored vehicle. So, since we're foot infantry, these are all the weapons that we're going to concentrate on because these are the ones that you're going to have to deal with as non-specialty troops. The first one I wanted to show you is the Tellermine 35. Tellermine 35 is one of the first versions that they came out with. On the bottom it's got 2 filler plugs. It also has provisions for a screw fuse to go in here and screw fuses to go on the side. The reason for the screw fuses is that they go in, which I forgot them unfortunately. They have a pull igniter on them. So you can pull that in and you could pull ignite this and you could throw this thing and get it underneath a tank. So if there's a tank coming down this road here, you could have your guys up by the bicycle here. There's no supporting infantry. That's the key thing, is infantry. We need to take out all our supporting infantry because infantry screen tanks. If you don't have any supporting infantry, you can cut the tanks to ribbons as infantry. But so it's very important to designate part of your team to take out the infantry while the other guys can designate and figure out how to destroy the vehicle. So if you're up here, you wait for that tank to come rolling down. You got a T-34 that comes about even with the front of the store. You pull the igniter on here, and you throw the thing out in the middle of the road, and it'll slide underneath the tank, and the tank will just roll right over it. If it hits it and it goes over this, about 500 to 800 pounds on this will detonate the explosives. This is filled with TNT, which is enough to blow the tank completely over and probably knock out part of the front of this building here. The reason that you have a hole in the bottom, you put the fuse on the bottom, now you can put this thing in your hole in the ground that's relatively shallow. This isn't even really exposed. It can be, or you could just put a little bit of dirt over it, and you tie a string to it and you pound a stake into the ground. So when people go and say, oh, here, we'll defuse this thing by pulling everything apart, they're going to lift it out of the ground. As soon as they lift it out of the ground, it's a 1-second fuse and it detonates in their face and obliterates everybody around them. So those provisions are on both of these anti-tank mines as a standard on German weapons because they booby-trapped a lot of their weapons. So the Tellermine 35 has a central fuse which unscrews. This is pretty typical of most of the mines. This is your detonator package. The TNTs already comes packed in here. Like all explosive devices in the military, this comes shipped separate because you don't want to keep your priming device next to it. If you take a look, it says sicher for safety and stark for or scharf for fire or for armed. And there's a little round piece in here that looks like a flathead screwdriver fits in there, or a coin. You can put your little Reichspfennig in there, and you can just twist it to on or off, essentially, to safety or to fire. And there's an explosive pellet in the bottom. This is a much simpler fusing mechanism. This one was much more complicated. You can imagine that little screw piece getting fouled up, especially if it's been in the ground for a while. This was a little bit more fail-safe because it had a tendency of being a little bit more waterproof. And this is your priming mechanism. If this gets crushed and this gets pushed in, it detonates. There's a small retaining piece that you can see in there, almost like a cotter pin. When this thing gets pushed down to a certain weight limit, it'll actually snap that and then detonate.
If a person walking over that would not set that off, it's not enough weight?
No. It takes about 500 to 600 pounds to detonate these mines. So you could step on this all day long. We could have 100 guys march across this and it'll be perfectly fine. And then the first tank or jeep that rolls across it.
Vehicle weight, yeah.
It's vehicle weight. Because it has to crush. So the weight limit, I think, was 500 pounds. So if you got a 500-pound soldier stepping on it. Maybe a reenactor, but not so much with it. So, but these are heavy. I mean, these are heavy. One way that you could attach this is to D-rings in the back. I've seen them carried like this. I've seen them actually attached to A-frames. Usually if you just put 2 equipment straps through here, you can just clip it right onto your D-rings on the back. But they are heavy and they are cumbersome. And to attack a tank, option number 1 is you could put your pull igniter on there. Well, first off, you could not use any pull igniter. You could throw it out in front of the tank to get it underneath the tracks. If this is an area of dense foliage, let's say we're going to go down to this area in the woods here where it necks down a bit, and there's a gully where the wash goes under the road, that's a beautiful spot to ambush a tank, because now it's forced. Here it can drive off and it could actually go around and stuff like that. But when it gets to that choke point over there, it has to go along that road, otherwise it drops off at too steep of a grade and the tank would roll off. So as it's going across that bridge where that drain tile is, the drain tile is big enough to have a German in when you guys go back to take a look. And you could either, A, with a Tellermine 35, have a pull igniter on it so you could pull it when the tank's in the middle of the road and flip it. Option number B is if you had this, you wait for the tank to get about even with you, you run out along the side and you just throw it underneath the tracks, right as it's about to cross over.